What's up, everybody? Charlie Marlowe here. Want to talk about this Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock comedy show last night, Sunday night at Enterprise Center. A lot of people talking about it on Twitter, packed house, 17,000 people, whatever it was, at Enterprise Center. But I was very, very disappointed in a couple of aspects of the show. Maybe not what you'd expect. So let's break it down here. First of all, the show started, or said it started, at 7:30. Now, going into this, you knew it was one of these shows. I'd never been to a show like this where they take your phones, or they make you take your phone, put it in one of these little bags that locks up so you don't have your phone during the show. That's fine. We knew that was the case going in. So 7:30 show. You're always kind of wondering with a comedy show, will there be an opener? When will the acts actually start? So we go to dinner, we go downtown, and we're right around Enterprise Center, right around 7:10. So hey, I'll take this one. Should I have gotten there a little bit earlier? Sure. Wouldn't have mattered. But okay, so you're downtown St. Louis. You're trying to find a place to park. You got some lots that are full. You got to have cash, this and that. Again, that's all my fault. Should have got there a little earlier. So I end up parking down by Maggie O'Brien's in that Union Station hotel lot. Still, look, not mad. Thought I was going to miss a little bit of the show, maybe an opener, maybe a little bit of Chris Rock. It is what it is. So we're walking to Enterprise Center, and this is probably now around 7:45 or so. We walk up Market Street, and we see these lines that are literally 2 and 3 blocks worth of people outside of Enterprise Center. And at this point, it's about 7:45 or so. So we're 15 minutes into when the show is supposed to start. So you're starting to wonder, are you going to miss the whole show? You're looking at 2 or 3 blocks worth of people outside of Enterprise Center, and it was pretty cold out. So because I used to work in TV, still work in sports, I try to finagle my way, go to the old media entrance, see if I know any security guards there. See a guy, he won't let me in there, and he goes, "Hey, you have to go through the protocol. They lock up your phones." I say, "Hey, can we put our phones here?" And he's like, "No." I said, "Well, what's the best line to go to?" And he says, "Go to the parking lot garage." So I go to the garage. Still, we're talking hundreds of people in line, hundreds of people, even though this line was much shorter than the lines outside of Enterprise Center outside, but hundreds of people. So we get in this line, and there's attendants out there saying, "Hey," they write on a little business card, here's your seat, so you know where you're going, because once you get in there and you show them your tickets on your phone, they're going to go ahead and take your phones. You're not going to be able to use them. When I say take your phones, they're going to put it in this bag. You could actually go out to the concourse in certain areas, unlock your bag, check your phone if you're trying to see your messages, or if people want to take selfies, whatever it was. Now, we didn't do that, but anyway, we're waiting in the parking garage, and we get to the front of it, and at this point, it's pushing probably close to 8:45. And we're thinking, did we miss all of Chris Rock? Are we going to miss some of Dave Chappelle? And everybody's just wondering, like, what is going on? Everybody's waiting to get into the venue because it's taken so long for people to put their phones in these bags and all that. Well, once we get close, we realize that the show hasn't started. I'm sure if you're running this show and you realize half of the audience is still outside waiting to get in, you can't start a comedy show. So as we get closer, we're hearing music being played. So you're thinking, okay, they're just playing music. They're waiting for everybody to get in. You're feeling good about not missing anything. Finally walk in, get to our seats. And again, the timing isn't going to be perfect here, but I think we sat down right around like 8:45-ish. And the first opening act had just come on. His name's Rick Ingram. Really funny guy, did a lot of crowd work. And let's just say he did 20, 30 minutes, whatever he did. And again, I don't have the exact times because I didn't have my phone on me to check the time. He goes 20, 30 minutes. Really, really funny. Really enjoyed Rick Ingram. And then they bring out another opener, and it's Donnell Rawlings. And you probably know him from Chappelle Show back in the day. "I'm rich, bitch." And also, I've seen him on Joe Rogan with Dave Chappelle before, and think he's very funny. He did his set, which I thought was pretty decent. And he went, I want to say he went 30 minutes plus. Don't quote me on this. I'm just kind of going from memory. But at this point, okay, you're getting close to what? Are you getting close to 9:45 or so? This is a show that was supposed to start at 7:30. And so here we are pushing 9:40, 9:45-ish, and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, neither of them are on. So Donnell Rawlings gets off the stage, and they say we're going to take an intermission. I'm just thinking, man, like here we are, 2+ hours past when the show was supposed to start. They're taking intermission, but still, whatever. Hey, you got to sell your beer and your food. People go to the bathroom. It's all good. Okay, so then let's just say around 9:45 or so, whenever it was, or 9:50, 9:55, I don't know exactly. But Chris Rock comes on. Chris Rock was fantastic. Chris Rock was awesome. Just absolutely crushed it. Did a full set. I don't know if it was 60 minutes. Felt like longer than 60 minutes in a good way, by the way. So he does a full set and everybody loved it. He was absolutely just just really really great. So then Chris Rock gets off the stage. You're thinking, all right, Dave Chappelle's coming right here immediately. So the DJ then plays some music, plays some Nelly, talking up St. Louis. You're thinking, all right, he's getting ready to announce Dave Chappelle. And then he announces that they're bringing back the opener, Rick Ingram, to come back out. Well, at this point, when you start to look at or think about how long it's taken here, they're clearly stalling at this point. So we're getting close to 11 o'clock. I mean, it had to be, whether it was 10:40, 10:45, whatever it was. Rick Ingram comes back out and just starts doing crowd work. And you can tell that he's just buying time. It seemed like Dave Chappelle wasn't even in the building yet. And I think that was the case. And when they came out there on stage, you could see they had time cues for the openers. And it kind of started at maybe like 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and then it would get down to 5, and it might say time at the end. And it started with Rick Ingram doing his crowd work. And once he's into it, you could tell they put time up there, and it was almost like, all right, go off because Dave Chappelle's coming on. We're good to go. And so Rick Ingram was doing his crowd work. He kind of just stopped when he saw the time. All right, headliner's coming on. Here we go. So, by the way, I think if you watch me on this channel and you know me from TV and radio, I'm not a complainer. I'm not a Karen. I'm never a person. Like, I go with the flow. I take personal accountability and responsibility if I make mistakes. But here's the deal. This was a comedy show on a Sunday night that was supposed to start at 7:30. So my wife and I were super excited to go. It's a bucket list to see Dave Chappelle. We got a couple kids. It is a school night for work and for kids. So we get a babysitter. And we told the babysitter we'll be back, what, 10, 10:30, whatever it was. And then once we're in line before the show starts, and we're realizing, hell, it's 8:45. This show hasn't even started. We text the babysitter and say, hey, it's gonna be later. So I hope that's cool. And she said, yeah, it's all good. And by the way, this is a babysitter that it's through a babysitter service. We didn't know this woman. She was great. But so Dave Chappelle finally comes on at right around 11 o'clock. And the only reason I know it was 11 is because the woman next to me, I actually see that she has a watch on. And I'm saying, hey, what time is it? Because we don't have our phones accessible. And she goes, it's right, basically 11 o'clock. And so my wife and I are sitting there and we're just starting to do the time of, okay, if Dave Chappelle is going to do an hour, he's going to go 11 to midnight. And we got to get out of here, where it's probably not going to take as long to have everybody take these phones out of the bag and give it to the attendant and then walk 4 or 5 blocks to the car and then drive home. And we're starting to do the math thinking, well, hell, at this point, if we leave at midnight, lucky to maybe get out of there 12:15, 12:20, walk to the car 12:30, 12:40, whatever it is, drive 20 minutes home, and we're home at 1 a.m. And again, look, I had to work today, so did my wife. That's cool though. Like, we would have went in to work. I went to work, she went to work, and it was a late night, but it's worth it to see Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and all that. But we had this babysitter that we had said, hey, we're gonna be back around 10:30. And we didn't think it was fair to have this woman, literally, it would have been 2.5 hours past, 2.5 to 3 hours past when we said we were gonna be home to listen and to watch the whole Dave Chappelle set. So my wife and I talked about it. We just decided that, hey, we want to see Dave Chappelle. Let's just watch him for 10, 15 minutes and then bounce. And so that's what we did. Dave Chappelle came on right around 11 o'clock. We listened to a couple of his jokes and probably left Enterprise Center or walked out of our seats at, let's just say, 11:15. Got to our car, And we ended up getting home at like 11:45. But I feel like if we'd have stayed for Dave Chappelle's whole set, we're probably pushing 1 a.m. And again, you can say, Charlie, you're complaining and this and that. But look, man, these tickets were not cheap. We're talking, I'll just tell you, these tickets were about $300 a pop. We had, not the greatest seats, but decent seats. You could see really well. And I just think Dave Chappelle, bucket list comedian, he comes out there, by the way, at 11. He says, thank you guys. He's like, sorry for being late. You probably didn't even, realize I was late. I'm thinking, no, we did, because the show was supposed to start at 7:30 and the headliner's coming on at 11, which is 3.5 hours after what was supposed to be the start time. And I was looking on Twitter then after the fact, and apparently he had an issue. He told the audience he had an issue with the plane, almost didn't make it there because of a malfunction or something going on mechanically with his plane. And I get that, like, that happens. But I was just really disappointed because Dave Chappelle is one of those guys you want to say you saw Dave Chappelle. And in theory, we did. We saw him for 10, 15 minutes. But to pay that type of money, like, I understand things happen. Everything with the phones getting in, I do put that on Enterprise Center. But I don't think that would have mattered, because if Dave Chappelle basically doesn't show up to the building until pushing 11 o'clock, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, if the show started on time, they'd have really had to stall to get Dave Chappelle on if the show started at, let's say, 7:30 with the two openers. So very disappointed. And again, not because any of these comedians weren't funny. We liked most of them, if not all of them. And I do think, look, you pay that type of money. You got to see Chris Rock absolutely crush it. He was really, really good, did a full set. We did see Dave Chappelle for 10, 15 minutes, and what we saw was really, really funny. But if you're paying that type of money, you want to see Dave Chappelle. You want to feel like you got the whole set. You want to experience all of it. And that was not the case. I don't think it's fair. And it doesn't even matter that it's a Sunday night, but that added to it. But you do have people who have lives, who have kids, who have babysitters and all that. And I don't think you start a comedy show at 7:30, supposedly, and expect your audience to have to be there till midnight. I mean, you're talking about 4.5 hours. If you wanted to see all of Chris Rock, all of Dave Chappelle, you'd have had to get there 7:30. You're thinking you don't want to miss anything, and you'd have had to be there until midnight. 4.5 hours. I just don't think that's fair. I don't think that's what you should have to expect when you're going to see a comedy show. So that's my spiel. Just wanted to break it down. If you guys saw the show, what did you think? Do you think I'm complaining too much? Am I being a Karen? I don't think I am, honestly, because we paid good money, wanted to see Dave Chappelle, saw him for 15 minutes, and I just think asking people to have to be downtown at Enterprise Center basically for 4.5 hours to see a show really isn't fair. But then again, I know things happen with planes and all that. Look, it wasn't done on purpose, but just kind of left that show with a bitter taste, or a bittersweet taste, because got to see Chris Rock, got to see a little bit of Dave Chappelle, but certainly not the experience that we were looking for. So if you saw the show, let me know what you think. What did Dave Chappelle end up doing for the next 45 minutes? I want to hear from you guys. Tell me if I'm complaining too much. Let me know what you think. What was your experience with the lines and the phones and all that, and then what you finally got to see? Because again, I'm not trying to be a hater here. I thought Rick Ingram was very, very funny. I thought Donnell Rawlings was pretty funny. I thought Chris Rock was absolutely fantastic. So that made the show for me. I can't walk away acting like I didn't have a good time. And then Dave Chappelle was very, very funny for the 10, 15 minutes we saw him before we had to bounce out, just because we had this babysitter. And I just didn't think it was fair to leave the babysitter, 2.5 hours past the time we thought we were going to get back home. All right, there you go. On this channel, it's usually baseball. We'll get back to baseball. I just want to talk about it. Dave Chappelle, still love you, man. You're the GOAT, or you're right up there. For me, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Sebastian Maniscalco. I love them all. I've now seen them all in person, although didn't get to see Dave Chappelle do a full set. It is what it is. Just pretty disappointed at how things went down last night at Enterprise Center. All right, comment, like, subscribe. Love you guys. Baseball talk is coming up down the road. You know that, but just had to get this off my chest. All right, see you guys.